Have you ever noticed that when you work on changing yourself from the inside out, your outer world starts to reflect those changes? It's no coincidence that internal transformation is the key to living a more peaceful and harmonious life. When we take the time to address our deepest fears, limiting beliefs, and negative thought patterns, we create space for love, joy, and abundance to flow into every aspect of our lives. In this video, we will explore the necessity of internal transformation and how it can lead to a more fulfilling and rewarding existence. So grab a cup of tea, find a cozy spot, and let's dive into the power of transforming ourselves from within. Let's talk about change. That's what we want everybody else to do, isn't it? You know, we don't want to do it, but we want everybody else to change so that our life will be different. And yet, of course, any changes that we're going to do have to come from within ourselves. They absolutely must. Change, to me, means that you change from a feeling of separation, isolation, loneliness, anger, fear, and pain into a state of peacefulness, wonderful peacefulness, where you can relax and really enjoy life as it comes to you, knowing that everything will be all right. I run into that premise that life is wonderful and that everything is perfect in my world, and I move into my greater good, always. And that way, it doesn't really matter to me which direction my life takes because I know it's going to be wonderful. So I can enjoy all sorts of things. Gerald Jampolska says that love is letting go of fear, and there is no fear or there's love. And if you're not in a love space, if you're not coming from the loving space of the heart, then you're in fear. And all those other things like isolation, separation, loneliness, and anger, they're all part of the fear syndrome. And that's really what we want to change from. We want to move from fear into love and to make that a more or less permanent state for us. Even the planet itself these days is very much in this period of change and transition. We see it all around us. We're going from an old order into a new order. And some people say it began with the Aquarian age, and at least the astrologers like to describe it that way. But you know, to me, astrology, numerology, palmistry, and all those other various methodologies are just ways of describing life. They explain life in a slightly different way, and people use different language to do this. But the astrologers say that we're moving out of the Piscean age and into the Aquarian age now. And in the Piscean age, we looked outside of us and looked to other people to save us. We looked for other people to do it for us. But in the Aquarian age, which we're entering now, people are beginning to go within and find that they have the power to save themselves. And this is a wonderful, liberating thing for us. Now, some people get very frightened because it seems to be a responsibility. But actually, we're discovering our ability to respond to life, not in a victim way, but in a way that gives us power. We're finding that we're getting a connection to what many people call the higher power and what I call our higher self, so that we can contribute to saving ourselves. And it's a wonderful feeling when you don't really have to be dependent on an outside person, but to know that you have within you tremendous abilities to make positive changes in your life. You see, if we're victims, then we feel isolated. We feel in pain and fear, and we're always looking for someone else to do it for us. But now we're taking, as I said, responsibility for our own lives, and we're beginning to understand how we can contribute to the experiences that we have and how we can change those experiences if we don't really care for them. And of course, from the moment you decide to make a change until you get your demonstration, as we call it, or when you get what you want, we have this transitional period. And that's when we're moving between the old order and the new order. It's a time of releasing old beliefs and old habits and of learning and practicing and then living the things that we're working on, the new beliefs, the new feelings, or the new methods, or the new behaviors. And while you're getting those in place so that they are a natural part of your life, you're going to have a lot of vacillating in that, between the old and the new. And you go back and forth between what was and what you would like to be or what you would like to have. And if you decide that you're going to release an old belief and that you're going to create a new one, during that transitional period, you're going to go back and forth. And this is a time when we often get very angry at ourselves because it's like, well, I know all about the new. Why aren't I doing it? I must not be good enough, or I must be a bad person. But that's silly because anything that we're learning takes time. You go back and forth until you're really strong in the new belief, until you've undergone the complete shift. You may begin to do an affirmation for something, and you're doing well. Then something happens, and you say, "Oh, I can't do that," and you revert to your old worrying habit. Well, that's just a part of the process. It doesn't mean that you haven't learned anything, and it doesn't mean that you're back where you started. It's just part of that back and forth thing. You're not settled in your new habit yet, and that takes a little time, practice, and patience. Be patient with yourself. You want to build yourself up instead of beating yourself up. There's a tremendous difference in the image if you just think of it. Do your thoughts build you up, or do they beat you up? When you beat yourself up, that's not being very loving to yourself. Sometimes, we don't need to make awkward changes so much as to go within and just alter what we already do just a little bit. Someone was saying to me tonight that they were thinking about a new apartment and worrying that there wouldn't be enough money. I suggested, why don't you start affirming that there will be lots of money? It's just a tiny little change, altering the way you look at a particular situation. Someone else was asking me about being in a lot of pain and using the word pain repeatedly. They asked if there was another word they could use. I remembered a time when I smashed my finger with a window and realized that if I really gave into it, it would be very difficult. So, I started to view it as having a lot of sensation instead. Insisting upon viewing it that way helped it heal much quicker and helped me handle what could have been incredibly painful. If we can just alter the way we think just a little bit, those of us who want to change are moving from an old order to a new order. Many things are happening on this planet. If you decide to work on yourself and go inside, you have to see what is there, what your beliefs are, so you know what to change. You can't clean out the negativity if you don't see it. If you're going to clean your own house, it's the same thing. You have to see where the dirt is, pick things up, dust them, polish them, or throw them out. You have to see what is there, and if we're going to initiate a significant transitional phase on this planet, and really help to heal this planet, we're going to have to look and see what's occurring here. We're going to have to see what's happening and to uncover the negativity, and the things that have been hidden for a long time are going to come to the surface. I think that part of this transitional phase that we're going through, part of the catalyst for this is this crisis called AIDS. You know, I really want to help create a world where it's safe for us to love each other. That's all, just to love each other. A world where we can be loved and accepted exactly as we are. That's what you wanted when you were a little child. When you were little, you wanted to be loved just as you were. Even if you were too skinny or too heavy, or if you weren't smart enough, or you weren't like the person across the street, or maybe you were scared. But you still wanted to be loved, and it's the same thing we're all looking for now. Only, we're not going to get this love and acceptance from other people unless we can give it to ourselves. When we feel good enough to be loved, then others will love and accept us too. It's really that simple. I think that we come to this planet to learn and to practice unconditional love. And it's not always an easy thing to do, but I think that's what we've come here for. To have unconditional love, first of all, for ourselves, no matter what they said or what they did to us in the past. And also to give that same unconditional love to other people. To just allow them to be who they are and to get rid of this them-ness. Because it's not them-ness, it's all us. And we need to know that. And if we're going to heal this planet, we have to know it's all us. And there are no groups that are expendable, and there are no groups that are less than. There may be many people who are in so much pain that they're being harmful to other people, but you know, if we can understand that acts of violence come from a person who was a traumatized child. Now this is not to condone people who do violent things, but to understand that if we want to change them, if you want people to become loving and peaceful, then you have to teach them to come from a loving space of the heart. And you're not going to teach them that if you don't know how to do it yourself. You don't create wars and kill people. You don't beat people. You don't throw people into prisons or torture them or do things like that. You teach them to forgive and to love themselves so they'll never do those violent things again, because you realize that people who love themselves cannot hurt themselves, and they cannot hurt another person. And to me, that's the answer to world peace and harmony and all sorts of wonderful things. So, to help as many people as possible learn to love who they are, it's very simple, that's my work in this world, is to help people love themselves, to love ourselves, so that we can get to this new order of what I see as unconditional love and peace and plenty for everyone. And I know that it's possible if we can just get the nonsense out of the way. I believe that when we leave the planet, the only thing we take with us is our capacity to love. We take our capacity to love with us, and that's all. We don't take our relationships, we don't take our automobiles or our bank accounts or our jobs. We take our capacity to love. And we have many, many opportunities to open our hearts on a much deeper level than we have. To me, love is the answer. I really believe that love is the answer. It's powerful, it helps us, it helps other people. How do you give love to the world? What are you doing to create your own inner harmony? What do you do on a daily basis to make yourself feel good inside? Or do you just sit and think about what you don't have? Well, it's one way of handling it, but it doesn't change the situation. You're not going to do it by being mad at yourself or being mad at other people. And you're not going to do it by blaming people. And you're not going to do it by being a victim. So, what is it? How do you express unconditional love in your life, even just a little bit? Is there a small area of your life where you're willing to give unconditional love? How are you experiencing peace within yourself and around you? And if you're not doing it now, are you willing to begin? Are you willing to start creating inner harmony and peace? Another question to ask yourself is, do you really want to change? Do you want to just sit there and complain about what you don't have? Or do you want to be a person who creates a much more wonderful life than you have now? If you're willing to change, you can. If you're willing to do the work involved, which means changing the way you're thinking, then you can change your life for the better. People often come up to me and say, "Oh Louise, you've changed my life." Well, I don't change anybody's life. I don't heal anybody. I don't have that kind of power. Only you can change yourself. Only you can clean out the pain within you. I can't do that for you. I can give you advice and say wonderful things, but you're the only thinker in your mind. You're going to make the decision about what you want to do with the information you're given. I have no power over you. You have the power, and you need to know that. We often think that we're helpless, but we're not. We have our minds, and we shape and mold our lives from moment to moment by our thoughts, beliefs, and attitudes. You really are important to this world. Just the fact that you're alive is important, and your life has meaning. You can contribute to the peace and harmony of this planet just by using your mind. Some people get involved politically, some march, some join the Peace Corps, and some help feed the homeless. That's all fine, but you can also contribute to the peace and harmony of the planet just as much by how you use your mind. Remember, every time you think, you're connecting with like-minded people. Robert Shaw from the UN said that the human species needs to know that we deserve to have peace. If we know that we deserve peace and that it is possible, it can become true for us. As we begin by creating peace within ourselves and then within our small circle of family or friends, and at our workplaces, and then let this peacefulness ripple out, we will find more and more peace on the planet. Practicing inner peace will help us connect with like-minded peaceful people all over the world. How can you maintain inner peace and harmony in the face of external challenges and conflict? As we journey through life, we are often faced with external challenges and conflicts that threaten to disrupt our inner peace and harmony. However, it is essential for us to remember that maintaining a sense of tranquility and balance within ourselves is crucial for navigating these obstacles with grace and strength. One way to achieve this is by practicing self-love and acceptance. By embracing who we are at our core and acknowledging our worth, we can cultivate a deep sense of inner peace that remains unshaken in the face of adversity. Furthermore, it is important to practice mindfulness and be present in the moment. When we focus on the here and now, rather than dwelling on past regrets or worrying about the future, we allow ourselves to experience a profound sense of stillness and serenity. This enables us to approach external challenges from a place of clarity and centeredness, rather than being consumed by fear or anxiety. In addition to self-love and mindfulness, surrounding ourselves with positive influences and supportive relationships can greatly contribute to our ability to maintain inner peace and harmony amidst external conflicts. By seeking out uplifting connections that align with our values and aspirations, we create an environment that nurtures our well-being and provides us with the encouragement needed to confront any challenges that come our way. Friends, as you continue your journey towards internal transformation for a more peaceful and harmonious life, remember that maintaining inner peace in the face of external challenges requires dedication and intentionality. Let's commit to practicing self-love, cultivating mindfulness, and nurturing positive relationships so that no matter what storms may arise around us, we remain anchored in calm waters within ourselves. What role does spirituality play in the process of internal transformation and personal evolution? When we talk about the necessity of internal transformation for a more peaceful and harmonious life, it is important to explore the role that spirituality plays in this process. Spirituality can be seen as a guiding force that helps us connect with our inner selves and tap into the deeper meaning of life. By incorporating spiritual practices such as meditation, prayer, and mindfulness into our daily lives, we are able to cultivate a greater sense of self-awareness and compassion towards ourselves and others. This allows us to let go of negative thoughts and emotions while embracing positivity and love. As we delve deeper into the concept of spirituality, we begin to understand that it is not just about following a set of rules or beliefs, but rather about nurturing our soul and finding peace within. Through spiritual practices, we learn to release past traumas and fears, forgive ourselves and others, and embrace gratitude for the present moment. It is through this transformative journey that we start to experience true inner peace and harmony. Incorporating spirituality into our lives is an ongoing process that requires dedication and commitment. As we continue on this path of personal evolution, we find ourselves becoming more aligned with our authentic selves and experiencing a profound sense of fulfillment. By embracing spirituality as a fundamental aspect of our personal growth journey, we open ourselves up to new possibilities and experiences. We become more attuned to the beauty around us and develop a deep sense of connection with all living beings. This heightened awareness leads us towards living a more peaceful and harmonious life, filled with love, joy, and abundance. The necessity of internal transformation for a more peaceful and harmonious life is paramount. By moving beyond external expectations and transitioning from fear to love, we can recognize the planetary shift and embrace personal power. Navigating old and new beliefs will bring about practical steps in our journey toward a joyous existence. Do you find yourself constantly battling negative thoughts and feelings? Are you tired of being weighed down by self-doubt and fear? In this video, we will explore the power of refusing negative thoughts to enter your mind, as taught by the renowned motivational author Louise Hay. By shifting our mindset and choosing to focus on positive affirmations, we can break free from the cycle of negativity that holds us back. Take, for example, Sarah, a young professional who struggled with imposter syndrome at work. Through practicing daily affirmations and consciously rejecting negative thoughts, she was able to regain her confidence and achieve success in her career. Join us as we delve into the transformative practice of cultivating a positive mental attitude and reclaiming control over our lives. We can refuse to think certain thoughts. Look how often you have refused to think a positive thought about yourself. Well, you can also refuse to think a negative thought about yourself too, Louise Hay once said. It seems to me that everyone on this planet that I know or have worked with is suffering from self-hatred and guilt to one degree or another. The more self-hatred and guilt we have, the less our life works. We find we have an inability to speak up for ourselves, and we are always trying to please others, or we may be angry and explosive all the time. The less self-hatred and guilt we have, the better our lives work on all levels. This includes the health of the body too. It has been my experience that the very bottom line for everyone I have worked with is always, "I'm not good enough," she continued. And we often add to this, "I don't do enough," or "I don't deserve." Does this sound like you? Always saying or implying or feeling that you're not good enough. But for whom and according to whose standards? Now, if these negative beliefs are very strong in you, then how can you possibly create a loving, joyous, prosperous, healthy life? Somehow, your subconscious beliefs would always be contradicting these objectives and making sure you do not obtain your goals, Louise Hay explained. I find that resentment, criticism, guilt, and fear cause more problems in our bodies and in our experiences than anything else. These feelings come from blaming others and not taking responsibility for our own lives. You see, if we are all 100% responsible for everything in our lives, then there is no one to blame. Whatever is happening out there is only a mirror of our own inner thinking. I am not condoning other people's poor behavior, but we must realize it is our beliefs that attract us people that will treat us that way, she emphasized. If you find yourself saying, "Everyone always does such and such to me, criticizes me, ignores me, takes advantage of me, or abuses me, then this is your pattern. There is some thought in you that attracts this behavior. On some internal level, you believe you deserve to be treated this way, or you treat other people this way, and it is just coming back to you. Whatever we give out mentally, physically, or verbally will come back to us. When we no longer think or behave this way, the other people will change their behavior, or they will go and do that to someone else who believes they deserve it. You will no longer be attracting the experiences you say you do not want. Whether we want to change a life experience or a physical problem, the place to begin is to say, solitarily say, I am willing to release the pattern within me that is creating this experience or this condition, she concluded. You can say this to yourself over and over. Every time you think of your illness, say this with me. Now, I am willing to release the pattern in me that has created this condition. The minute you say this affirmation, you are stepping out of the victim role. You are no longer helpless. You're acknowledging your own power. You are saying, I may not understand it, but somehow I am beginning to understand that I contributed to creating this problem. And now I take my own power back, and I am releasing it and letting it go. What a powerful statement to have your subconscious mind support. As I said, resentment of others, criticism of ourselves, guilt over the past, and fear of the future, are the most damaging mental thought patterns we can have. This kind of internal dialogue creates and maintains disease in the body. These thoughts can destroy the body. Fear can contribute to baldness, ulcers, and even painful feet, among other things. Criticism as a permanent habit can often lead to arthritis in the body. Resentment eats away at the body and becomes the disease we call cancer. Guilt always looks for punishment and creates pain. Fear comes from not trusting the process of life to be there for us. You know, the most precious thing in our life is our breath. If you did not take another breath, you would not last 3 minutes. Yet, you have such faith that your next breath will be there that you don't even think about it when you exhale. Now, if the power that created us has given us enough breath to last for as long as we shall live, can we not begin to trust that the rest will also be provided for us? The next time you are frightened, think about the abundance of air and say, I trust the process of life to take care of me. Whenever someone is in pain, I know they have created a lot of guilt for themselves. Chronic pain comes from unrelenting guilt, often so buried that we are not even aware of it anymore. This guilt must be dissolved before the pain can be eliminated. Guilt is a totally useless emotion. It never makes anyone feel better, nor does it change a situation. Your sentence is now over. Let yourself out of prison. Anger, combined with guilt, often contributes to existence. The degree of physical damage lets us know how severely we felt we needed to be punished and how long the sentence. Where this pain occurs in the body gives us a clue to which area of life we feel guilty about. Critical people often attract a lot of criticism because it is their pattern to criticize. They are often cursed with perfectionism, the need to be perfect at all times in every situation. Do you know of anyone on this planet who is perfect? I do not. Why do we set up standards that say that we have to be superperson in order to be barely acceptable? That is such a heavy burden to carry. When I was a little girl, I had a very difficult childhood. My parents divorced when I was 18 months. I was raped when I was 5. I became a battered child and grew up in the Depression. My mother was very much a victim, and my stepfather constantly expressed his own brutalized childhood. I grew up having a lot of resentment. I had to create cancer in my own body before I was willing to begin to release that resentment. I am certainly not condoning the behavior of any of the people who mistreated me. However, for me to spend a lifetime just running the old movie, feeling blame and anger and resentment, is not doing me any good in the present moment. I learned that resentment only eats away at me, and it did in my case. Holding on to old blame and feeling resentful for all that they did to me helped to create my disease. Releasing and letting go helped me to heal myself. The past is over and done. We cannot change that now. We can change our attitude toward the past and our thoughts toward the past. How foolish for us to punish ourselves in the present moment because someone else hurt us in the long ago past. It's not worth it. I often say to people who have deep resentment patterns, please begin to dissolve the resentment now when it is relatively easy. Don't wait until you're under the threat of a surgeon's knife, and you have to cope with panic too. It is vital that we release foolish, outmoded, or negative ideas and beliefs that do not support us. And nourishing our concepts of ourselves and of life and of God must support us, not negate us. No matter what our disease, if we choose to believe that we are helpless victims and that it is all hopeless, then the universe will support us in that belief, and we will just go down the drain. When people come to me with a problem, I don't care what it is: poor health, lack of money, unfulfilling relationships, or stifled creativity. There is only one thing I ever work on, and that is loving the self. I find that when we really love and accept and approve of ourselves exactly as we are, then everything in life flows. How can I prevent negative thoughts from entering my mind in the first place? When we consciously choose to focus on positive thoughts and affirmations, we can prevent negative thoughts from entering our minds. By practicing self-awareness and mindfulness, we can observe our thought patterns and redirect them towards uplifting and empowering beliefs. When we catch ourselves starting to dwell on negativity, we can gently remind ourselves of the power of positivity and shift our mindset. Affirmations such as, "I am worthy," or "I choose happiness," can serve as powerful tools to combat negative thinking and cultivate a more optimistic outlook on life. Louise Hay teaches us that by taking responsibility for our thoughts and choosing to replace negative ones with positive affirmations, we hold the key to creating a more fulfilling and joyful life. It is important to remember that it's okay to acknowledge negative thoughts when they arise, but it's crucial not to dwell on them or allow them to take over our minds. Instead, let's practice gratitude for the present moment and focus on all the blessings in our lives. By consistently practicing positive affirmations and staying mindful of our thought patterns, we empower ourselves to create a mental environment where negativity has no place. We have the ability to shape our reality through the power of our thoughts. So let's continue nourishing our minds with love, compassion, and positivity each day. What are some practical strategies for breaking free from self-hatred and guilt? As we strive to break free from self-hatred and guilt, it is essential to recognize that these negative emotions are not serving us. Instead of allowing them to take over our minds, we can choose to focus on positive affirmations and thoughts. By practicing daily affirmations such as, "I am worthy of love and happiness," or "I release all feelings of guilt and embrace forgiveness," we begin to rewire our thinking patterns. It's important to catch ourselves when negative self-talk arises and replace those thoughts with more empowering ones. Additionally, surrounding ourselves with supportive and loving individuals can greatly aid in breaking free from self-hatred and guilt. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable with trusted friends or family members, they can offer encouragement and a fresh perspective on the situation. Seeking professional help through therapy or counseling is also a valuable tool for addressing deep-seated issues of self-hatred and guilt. Incorporating mindfulness practices into our daily routine can further support our journey towards healing. Activities such as meditation, yoga, or journaling can help us become more aware of our thought patterns and provide an opportunity for self-reflection. As we commit to these practical strategies, we gradually chip away at the barriers of self-hatred and guilt that have held us back. By implementing these techniques consistently, we open ourselves up to a life filled with compassion, self-love, and freedom from the burden of guilt and self-hatred. We deserve to live joyfully without being weighed down by negativity. Let's empower ourselves by embracing new ways of thinking and being. Can changing my beliefs really have a significant impact on my experiences? Have you ever stopped to consider the power of your beliefs and thoughts on your experiences? It's easy to dismiss the idea that changing our beliefs can have a significant impact on how we perceive and interact with the world around us. But Louise Hay, renowned motivational author and speaker, has long advocated for the transformative power of positive thinking and affirmations. She believes that by consciously choosing to shift our beliefs from negative to positive, we can fundamentally change our experiences for the better. As Louise Hay often emphasizes, our thoughts create our reality. When we allow negative beliefs to take root in our minds, they can manifest as self-fulfilling prophecies, leading us to interpret situations in a way that reinforces those negative beliefs. On the other hand, when we actively refuse entry to negative thoughts and replace them with positive affirmations, we open ourselves up to new possibilities and opportunities for growth. This isn't just wishful thinking. It's about taking control of our own mindset and acknowledging the profound influence it has on our lives. Louise Hay's teachings remind us that changing our beliefs is not just about putting on a facade of positivity. It's about truly internalizing these new perspectives and allowing them to shape how we approach life. By embracing this philosophy, many people have experienced remarkable transformations in their relationships, careers, health, and overall well-being. We are all capable of reprogramming our thought patterns and rewriting the scripts that govern our lives. We simply need to commit to this journey of self-discovery and empowerment. Our potential for personal transformation lies within each one of us. The power is already there, waiting for us to tap into it. As Louise Hay would encourage us, let's practice mindfulness over what enters our minds and be deliberate in cultivating positive beliefs. Through consistent effort and dedication, we can unlock newfound joy, abundance, love, and fulfillment in every aspect of our lives simply by refusing negativity at the door and welcoming and empowering thoughts. It is crucial to refuse negative thoughts and patterns from entering our minds. By releasing self-hatred and guilt, we take responsibility for shaping our experiences with positive beliefs. Forgiveness and release have a healing power that allows us to love ourselves, leading to positive change in our lives.